Hey guys, how are you doing? Crypto Insight UK here, bringing you back another YouTube video. So today we've got a few things to discuss. First off, let's talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin on the daily time frame is still yet to reclose back inside this range or completely reclaim the range essentially. Also on the 3-day time frame, we're looking at something similar. I did say that the 3 days starting to look a bit better than the daily over there on X because the stochastic RSI in the 3 days just curling up from being in the oversold area, and the standard RSI could be curling up for a bullish cross, which would be the first time we've seen a bullish cross since back down here in terms of the 3-day. Last time we saw a bullish cross in the 3-day price action was at $55,000 Bitcoin, and then we rallied all the way up to over 100,000. So it was like a 100% move the last time we got a 3-day bullish cross on the 3-day. So definitely a 3-day bullish cross on the 3-day on the RSI. So definitely something to consider and watch there, guys. We'd like to see the daily close and the 3-day close back inside this range. So the next few days are pivotal for Bitcoin's price action. Bitcoin obviously dictates the direction of the rest of the market, or often dictates the direction of the rest of the market. If Bitcoin comes down heavily, chances are the market's coming down with it. If Bitcoin is pumping, chances are things either are pumping around it, more or less is up for debate, and we look for that potential alt season, the elusive alt season based on a few other metrics like Bitcoin dominance as well. But we need Bitcoin to be at least steady in price, if not increasing, for the opportunity for that to arise, or at least for that to arise on a sustained and explosive basis. If we look at Bitcoin on the weekly time frame, we haven't actually yet seen Bitcoin close a weekly candle outside of this range, even though we have had these long wicks to the downside that have grabbed liquidity all the way down to 78,000. They have then retraced in the last week before the weekly close. It retraced 20% to still close within the range. This shows strength for me. At the same time, we're seeing the stochastic RSI potentially crossing bullish here on the weekly time frame. It will do that if we get a green candle this week, which we have 3 days and 14 hours to see the close. Now, tomorrow is a big day in the crypto space. We have the White House, the summit at the White House for crypto, and there's a lot of talk online about it. Yesterday, or 9 hours ago, Charles Hoskinson did a live stream saying he hasn't been invited and talked about how he thinks it's just going to be a bit of a round table and people talking about it, and probably more hype than anything else, because legislators are the ones that make the rules, and they will just be discussing what the rules could be. With that being said, who knows whether he's upset that he's not been invited or whether he is being factual. I often think these rumors and these events are a bit underwhelming in terms of price action. But with that being said, I do think that the macro is setting itself up now for some more explosive price action to the upside. Firstly, we're talking about this, and Arthur Hayes is saying, let the Hunger Games of bonds begin. If global savers can't or won't buy government bonds, the central bank or commercial banks will print money to buy them instead. Whoever prints first prints best. So he's basically talking about how bonds are less and less desirable and people need to be buying them. Otherwise, debt, the way that we finance debt around the world doesn't work. So banks will start printing to buy bonds. This is when we start to see assets increase in value. We also saw a day or so ago, Germany were talking about their increasing their spending on military services, and I spoke about that. If we see an increase in any spending that's against the rules, the current rules, and they're saying, look, we need it for defense, that's the start for the foundation for the floodgates to open across other countries will start doing the same thing. So again, another indication that we could see an increase in spending. Then Howard Lutnick said interest rates will come smashing down. We're seeing slow growth in the US and inflation coming down heavily. And this should lead to loosening of monetary policy and in turn interest rates coming down. And then Raoul Powell also tweeted, with the dollar, rates and oil headed lower, all specific aims of Besant financial conditions are now easing fast, lead risk assets by a couple of months. This should be a good signal for Q2 tech and crypto. Hopefully H2 2025 to these trends tend to continue. And then I asked him, actually, I said, does this give China the space to stimulate, or we still go further? And he said soon. So essentially what I'm saying is the foundation and the rails are there for things to start turning more positive on a macro scale. just as we come into this, like, I'd say a crescendo of a crypto event where we've talked, obviously we've seen Trump announce XRP, Cardano and Solana, as well as ETH and Bitcoin in the crypto strategic reserve in America. With the macro layout, potentially as well the end of the war with Ukraine and Russia, the macro layout and the genuine like foundation for crypto to be utilized in the US. And then the introduction yesterday of the National Cryptocurrency Association with Ripple's Stuart Alderati, head of Ripple's legal counsel, being the president there. I feel like America are about to embrace crypto truly and wholly, and I'm honestly, I've been saying for a few weeks, I think this area is an absolute gift, and I completely still follow through with that thought process. Fear and greed index still in extreme fear, yet it's coming up off the bottom. If we can get these weekly closes back within this range for Bitcoin, especially if we can get it green, 3 days and 14 hours to increase in price for Bitcoin about 3 or 4%, which is definitely possible, then to have a green weekly candle, I think very quickly everyone's emotion will shift and they'll realize how much of a gift this 78,000 area was for crypto in general. I personally have placed a long on XLM, and it's quite clear as to why I've done that. I might have some deals coming out with exchanges who I'm going to potentially be working with, so I'm not going to say where I put these on, just because well, essentially they're going to pay me to talk about trading on their exchange, so why would I not take that? It's a very neutral way for me to earn some cash and talk about the exchanges that I'm using. So why have I put this trade on? Well, it's a key area of interest here that XLM's back down into to all-time highs for XLM. From where we are now, we're still looking at 215% increase into the take profit, 390-ish% from where I am. That's where I put the trade on. I think XLM moves in tandem often with XRP. And XRP's percentage gain to all-time highs is only let's say 28%. So the risk to reward on XLM in terms of a long position is larger for me right now than XRP, especially coupled with the fact that my XRP bags are like 95% of my portfolio. So looking at XRP more closely, it's going to take us into the hourly time frame now. We are at a key level here. So this is where, if we're going to see a rejection at any time for XRP, this box, this grey box I've got drawn out, I'm on the 4 hourly now just so I can show you a bit more clearly. This grey box here is an area that we've been finding both support and resistance, and as we're below it, it's going to be acting as resistance. Then above that is the top of the range, above that is the previous swing high, or the all-time high, it's 340 potentially, and then we're off to the races. I've absolutely nailed my call. I've posted it over there on X. I talked about this being the low, us then creating a higher low, put them into the top of the range. We closed our long here openly on Twitter. We pulled back to the area I said we're going to pull back into. Let me get my pen out. I'm going to draw all this for you again now, if I even remember where the pen is, which I cannot for some reason. Where's the pen? Right, well, I can't see it right now. Here we go. So this was the low here. This was the higher low within the range. Remember, we compared this exact range to Bitcoin. We then said this was the area that I would be looking at to bounce in, and we bounced exactly in that area. What I said was we'd come up, we'd hit resistance, we cashed out our long here, we then came down, and I said we'll probably form a higher low within this range, and off we go. Look, I think that this range is probably going to look something like this. If I could absolutely draw it, that if I was going to guess at what price action would look like, it would be like that. However, I did say, and I've just said right now, telling you guys that I think this grey box could act as resistance, especially with this news around Friday. If we can pump through this range before Friday, fantastic. We could see something like this. Everyone's like, oh, Friday something is not as good as we think. It comes back down. We bounce on top of the range, and then we go. So let me show you another scenario. So my base case is we're bullish from here. Exactly how the structure looks, I'm unsure. But this is the area to be cautious, and this grey area. But if we can get through before Friday to, let's say, above the range, absolutely perfect. Say 340, sound, bounce on Friday, and then continue to send over the weekend. That would be absolutely lovely. Or we just absolutely send it on Friday. There's good news, but like my base case is there's not normally good news at these events. That's just the easiest way to play it mentally. So let's try and get out there before Friday comes around. So we've got another day or so. We also could pull back here and chop around in here for a bit before we continue higher. They're the options basically is what I think is coming next. I'm bullish and I want to see Bitcoin continue to perform. As I said, I want to see those closes within the range for Bitcoin there on the weekly and the 3 daily and the daily time frame. We're also looking at XRP dominance, which looks strong. We're back at resistance levels. We're looking at XRP ETH. Again, looks strong. Basically chopping between, I'm going to put this on the daily, 3-day time frames. I'm just going to show you this. We're basically chopping between key resistance and support levels now for XRP ETH. XRP Bitcoin's pretty similar. We're just trying to break this resistance. When we break, I think we'll see a quick spike and an aggressive price action to the upside, just like we did down here when we saw our first leg of this move. The next leg is coming, and I think it's probably going to be more aggressive than the first leg. And I think we've probably already seen like a taste of what that could look like with this candle. I'm going back to the XRP dollar price now, and I'm jumping around all over the place. But we saw like a 30% daily candle here. Yes, we retraced it the next day, but that's showing you that the volatility is back, and these sort of candles can come, and they can come out of nowhere. So yes, that was based off news. You can call it what you want, obviously, but I'm talking about the size of candles. I said there's going to be 50% candles at some point that come, and we've seen a 30 now. Yes, it got retraced, but we've seen that volatility is possible. We've seen that. So the last thing that we're going to look at here is Bitcoin dominance. Still watching to see whether this breaks down. What I'd love to see is Bitcoin start to be super bullish, break into the range, and Bitcoin dominance slowly start to drop here, and then more aggressively drop. If XRP starts to really send it, that's when we could see XRP go to some really big numbers. I've talked about $5 in March. We're in March now, so it'd be lovely to see $5 by the end of March. Whether I get that or not, I don't know, but it'd be a good prediction if we do get that. And I think that it's possible to see $8 very soon, whether that's this month, next month, or the month after. But looking at what we did previously for XRP, going back to the XRP chart again now, we made this move. Let me show you percentage-wise. I'll try and do both, actually. Hopefully this is a ruler that does both. From the bottom to the top, we did 472% in the space of 28 days. If we go from the bottom to the top of here, if we mimic the exact same move, 28 days, 470%. Was it 470? Let me just remeasure that because I don't want to get that wrong while we're talking. The price was 478%. Yep, within 28 days, and then from here, you could say that the wick below was the wick, so we could change this, but just put around at about $10 to $11. If it comes from the bottom of the wick here, it's obviously not going to be 28 days, but we could say that this is the low. To the top, 478%. Anywhere between like $9 and $13 is what I've been saying. $8, but we could extend further to $11 or $12 on this next move, which is what I think is coming. When we get the break, I do think it'll be more aggressive as well. I think we probably do it faster than 28 days, and people are going to think that's a ridiculous thing to say. Let's see when the time comes when we break this range. Hold on to your flipping hats, basically, is what I think is happening. We know this from XRP dominance chart. We know this from XRP Bitcoin, XRP ETH, and even the Bitcoin dominance chart. If that starts to break down, it happens pretty quickly. So yeah, be prepared for moves like that. That's basically what I've been trying to prepare you guys for, is where I think we are in the cycle. I'm not worried, or I've not been worried at all during this period. What I've been saying to you guys repeatedly is, where I'm going to be concerned, or not necessarily concerned, but confused as to what to do, is when XRP starts to hit those between 15 and 20, 30%, not 30%, because if we get 30% dominance, I'm going to cycle a lot of my capital out of XRP as an almost no-brainer, because we've never been higher than that. If we start to hit those 15, 20% dominance, where do I cycle out? How much do I cycle out? And what do I cycle out into? That's going to be the question that's on my mind. I'm not going to sell all my XRP, of course, but they're going to be really difficult times for me, because I've been in this boat for 5 to 7 years. It's not that I don't believe in XRP, but when we start to get to those levels, technically, it's like where we've never been higher than those before. So the risk reward of holding is very high to the risk side. So that's what I'm concerned about, or thinking about, not whether I'm concerned about price action now, because I'm absolutely not. And I could be wrong with that, but I'm willing to sit here and hold XRP indefinitely until we get the technical patterns that we've seen before. So that's where my mind is now. I hope that you guys understand why that is, and I hope that you're thinking along a similar process. Now's the time to be executing or thinking about your execution of your take profit plans for the future. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do hit the subscribe button and share it with a friend. Sign up to the links in my description if you need anything. And yeah, let me know in the comments section if you think I'm right, if you think I'm wrong, and what you think is going to happen tomorrow, being Friday, at the Crypto Summit. Peace up, A-Town down, as Cryptoans like UK would say.